Hey y'all, Born Again Jeeper here. I've got a new ukulele review to do for you. I hope you enjoyed my Lanikai 8-string review. Now I went scaled down a little bit. We went from a really gigantic sounding uke to an itty bitty one. This is one of the legendary Kala pocket ukes. To my knowledge, it's the smallest uke on the market right now, at least as far as major production is concerned. And they make three models. They make the mahogany model, which you see here, that's the least expensive, retail price $2.99. Then they make a spalted maple version, which is absolutely beautiful, for $2.50. However, it does disturb me a little bit that it's a spruce body with maple veneer. So it's not quite all it cuts out to be. Then they have the acacia model, which is also very, very pretty, for $3.99 retail. Luckily, they're selling for $2.09 for this one, $2.49-ish for the maple one, and $2.79-ish for the acacia model. I went ahead and got the least expensive one because I didn't exactly know what to expect. And I'll tell you, I'm blown away. This thing is a blast to play. It's a lot of fun. So let's start with some of the components here. So here we have the saddle and bridge setup, and you'll notice that it's kind of interesting because the strings go in the back and out the front to tie the knots. So that's a little wild, huh? It seems to have that faux bone saddle and nut as well. Then you're going to see 12 frets, nickel frets. They're all finished perfectly, nothing sticking out further than it should be whatsoever. And we've got little abalone, probably can't even really notice that, but abalone dots there for the fret markers. Then at the top we have some extremely high quality friction pegs with some bushings in there, and really nice. It's strung currently, and I believe it comes from the factory, with Aquila strings, which would be my preference typically anyhow, and I believe that you just use a regular standard soprano set, despite the fact that it's about 3 inches shorter than a soprano scale. So this body is made 100% solid mahogany. It's got a really beautiful grain to it. I don't think I can get it to show up, but it's got a real nice holographic quality. Mahogany tends to be a little on the boring side grain-wise, but this one's is really actually pretty pleasant looking. Nice kind of a tiger stripe going along the whole thing, and then little horizontal stripes as well. And tuning on it, rather than a GCEA typical C tuning or a D tuning, it's suggested that you really take this one up even higher to E tuning or F tuning, or all the way to G tuning, which if you do your homework you recognize the G tuning is the exact same tuning as a guitar or a baritone uke. This just happens to be one complete octave higher. So let's go ahead and stop blabbing and hear what it sounds like. So, a lot of fun, little goofy thing. A couple observations that I've noticed about it. It's not as hard to play as you would think. E chords get a little difficult, because if you look at, I'm trying to cram my hand into the tiniest of spots. So an E-shaped chord is kind of difficult, but it's not as hard as you would think to play. You know, when you're doing your regular chords, your F shapes and your C shapes and your G shapes and your D shapes, it's not all that difficult. B flat's not hard. And that's a lot of people's main concern. Volume-wise, I'm not sure that it comes across well, but it's actually a lot louder than you might think. And it's got a great deal of sustain. Just keeps on ringing. So, overall, a really, really interesting instrument. I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity, like I typically do, to compare it to another uke that would be similar. And that similar uke, let's look at a size comparison first. This is really, really, really small. Okay, let me back up. There it is. And this is the Ohana Sopranino, which is the other smallest uke. You can see an enormous difference in body length. Then the nut will end up 3/4 of an inch shorter on the pocket uke. So it's 3/4 of an inch. This is an 11-inch scale. and this one is a 11 3/4 inch, I believe. So looking at a pretty big size difference, and that will translate to a sound difference. Let's go ahead and compare the pocket uke to a full-size soprano. So you can see this is your normal soprano uke. This happens to be a Kala travel uke, and huge difference in size. Giant difference. Okay, so it sounds small, as you've already heard. Let's go ahead and compare it. This Sopranino, the Ohana Sopranino, the SK21, is currently tuned to C sharp. And I'll play it for you here. If you hear that, you'll notice that this particular uke has pretty bad intonation. And I've heard that from someone else, that they really were disappointed the intonation on this uke. She had the exact same problems that I had with it. If your ear's good, you might have heard that as well. So let's switch to the Kala. I'm going to play the same chord shapes. It's going to be significantly higher. So to me this sounds like a little twinkling star or something. A lot of fun. It's not a uke that you would use for performance necessarily, but it's a really, really fun one to just sit outside on the porch or go to a picnic or whatever and goof around with. A whole lot of fun. So price-wise, here's the difference. So if you're interested in a very small uke, the Sopranino from Ohana sells for about $129. Almost $70 cheaper or $80 cheaper than the Kala. However, there's a considerable quality difference. The Kala is built like you pay for it. It's an extremely good instrument. And I mentioned the intonation on this Ohana is fairly poor. I noticed while I was tuning this thing up that the intonation, unlike any other uke I have, and I have 11 other ukes, the intonation on this is better than any uke I've got in my entire collection. So playing, meaning if I play an open note, as I move up the fret and watch the tuner, that there is almost zero deflection. We're talking a cent or two at the most, even all the way up to the 7th fret. So pretty remarkable for such a small uke. This one, by the way, deflects almost 20 cents on a couple of the notes. Most upsettingly so, your C chord is pretty poorly in tune. So I can't say enough. Overall, do I recommend this thing? Most definitely. It's a lot of fun to play. A little expensive, but if you need a third or fourth uke, which everyone does, this would be a really fun one to add to your collection. I'll go ahead and play just a little bit more on it, and then turn the darn thing off. So it's a lot of fun. Any intonation problems are not a result of the instrument itself. It's because it is a little bit touchy. It's very easy to bend the strings, and that's one reason I do have it a little higher. The lower the string tension, the more likely it is to bend. So anyway, I give this one a good 9 out of 10 on is it fun to play, is it worth it. I would knock it down a little bit on value just because they are a little more expensive. I would like to see this for about $150 rather than $200. But like I said, there is a good payoff in the quality of craftsmanship. There's no glue, there's no issues inside whatsoever. Everything is solid and perfect. I feel like I'm holding something made by a custom manufacturer. So anyhow, thanks a lot for watching. Peace out. It's been real.